welcome back to our coverage of the High Times Medical Cannabis Cup 2012, right here on the Bay in Richmond, California. I'm Radical Russ here on National Cannabis Radio. And you know, one of the stories that I've been covering for a while now, ever since I met Toby Tigerheart Greer, was the story of mixed martial artists and their battles with the various regulatory agencies with regard to their legal use of medicinal cannabis. And so we've got two experts here. You know, also in the news recently, Nick Diaz, the fighter, was in the news. But joining us right now, we've got Caleb and Dan, and I didn't catch last names coming so quick. So go ahead and just tell us who you are and how you're connected with MMA.
I'm Dan Black. This is Caleb Mitchell. I'm formerly with the Cesar Gracie fight team. Caleb's still with the Cesar team. It's funny you mentioned Nick. That's a former teammate of mine.
Oh, okay.
And, current teammate of Caleb's.
Fantastic.
And,
Of course, anybody who follows MMA knows the Gracie name.
Oh, yeah. No, it's they're the fathers of the sport, you know?
Right, absolutely. So how does the medical marijuana story, how does the marijuana story impact with you guys?
Well, with us, I mean, obviously it hits a little closer to home, you know, Nick being a friend and whatnot, and kind of getting railroaded by the Nevada State Athletic Commission, you know, there. But it's something that, it's happened before, right? I mean, it happened last time when he beat Gomi. And, I can't say it wasn't expected. You know, Nevada isn't exactly a compassionate state. They
have a medical marijuana program, but not what we would recognize from here.
Yeah, no, I mean, I guess it's by comparison, right? I'm from California, so, by comparison, it's like, hey, what's going on? You know, and California actually just passed an exemption. So, cannabis is legal now for athletes in California.
Oh, that's right, California State Athletic Commission.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, so they've passed similar exemptions, just like Nevada does for testosterone. Hopefully Nevada will follow suit and
wait, Nevada, you can have an exemption for medical testosterone use.
Yeah, that's correct. Actually, that was in the same hearing as Nick. They granted Kale Sonnen, who's a great fighter, great guy. They granted him his license back. I believe he tested 14 times the normal level of testosterone. I might be a little bit off on that, but and then they were like, I forget what the exact reason was. There was like, hey, it's he took a over-the-counter allergy medicine and it made his testosterone grow up or something like that. I forget what it was exactly, but they're like, hey, he has a therapeutic use exemption, so it's okay for him. But there's no therapeutic use exemption for medical cannabis in Nevada.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Now, with respect to the medical use of cannabis and its, let's say, performance-enhancing effects on the fight game, is there such a thing? Is there a need for them to be worried about, like they worry about steroids being able to bulk you up or get you better enhancement or whatever?
I thought it was funny because before Nick, it was performance detriment, right?
Right.
It's like, wait, well, no, you can't use cannabis. It's going to make you slow and you'll get hurt and it's going to make you sit on the couch and you won't be a good athlete. And then you see someone like Nick who's out there winning triathlons, winning championship fights, and then they're like, oh, wait a second, it's performance enhancing. Well, which one is it? You know what I mean? It's one or the other.
It's hard to tell sometimes. It's we just have a pretty simple explanation for it here at the show. We understand.
Drugs are bad. You shouldn't do drugs.
That's just all it is.
If you do them, you're bad because drugs are bad. Okay.
All right. So now that we're clear, now we understand why drugs are bad. That's all. If it's the same argument that the drug warriors.
Well, unless it comes in a pill form, right?
Oh, right.
Yeah.
It didn't have a barcode. That's the thing.
If you have a barcode,
Yeah, the drug warriors always say, when the drug use goes down, they say, see, what we're doing is working, give us more money. And when the drug use goes up, they say, oh my God, we're having more drug use, you got to give us more money.
Right.
No matter, heads you win, tails you lose, something like that. We're sitting here with Caleb and Dan and talking about MMA and medical marijuana. And one of the things, speaking of medicinal use, I had another guest on here earlier that was talking about topical use of cannabis with balms and lotions and stuff like that. Is that something that you guys have experience with, something that's happening with you guys?
Actually, one of my team sponsors, External, they make an external spray. You spray it on. A lot of my athletes, as they get closer to the fight, you still can't test positive for cannabis, whether it's therapeutic use exemption or not, at the time of the fight.
Okay.
However, there are healing properties with cannabis, as we all know. If my athletes want to use a spray instead of like Bengay or something like that, and they get relief from it, it just makes sense to use it.
Do they have similar restrictions on the use of other drugs that maybe we don't know about, or are there drugs that you're allowed to use as an athlete that we'd go, what, you can use that and not cannabis? I mean, major painkillers, anything? I mean,
yeah, I mean, basically any prescription drug that you have a use exemption for is okay. You know what I mean? You have to disclose it to the commission. You know, obviously they don't want you on, you know, Vicodin or morphine or some really hardcore painkillers. But that's kind of the argument with testosterone therapy, right?
Sure.
Their argument is, look, my testosterone levels are too low for a guy my age, so I need to take this testosterone therapy to get my levels up to a normal level. Oops, I took a little too much. Now it's 14 times normal. Oh, my bad. You know, but you know, hey, that's
it's something I cover, you know, just on a broader aspect when we're talking about athletes and their use of these different, you know, of course, when people think steroids, just recently we had the decision in one of the baseball steroids guys' cases, finding him not guilty, I think, and that Congress will go to such great lengths here to see whether or not guys that are smacking a ball, and to be honest, I'm not a baseball fan. I did watch it during the whole Sosa-McGuire derby. It was kind of exciting, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it was steroids. Well, okay, fine. They're adults, right? They're grown men with multi-million-dollar salaries and the best doctors and chemists money can buy. Why do I care? Is that something that concerns you in fighting? That there could be this line that we don't want them to go over with particular drugs?
I mean, it's a dangerous sport, or at least it could be, you know. So I guess the point behind having the testing for the steroids is to level the playing field. You know, obviously, if you have one guy that's, you know, taking all these drugs, all these steroids, becoming like a superhuman athlete through pharmaceuticals, that's the idea behind it anyway. You know what I mean? In reality, that sometimes isn't the case. You know, these guys, they load themselves up with all these pharmaceuticals and steroids, and it actually has an adverse effect on them. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Well, personality for sure. And you know, it's not like you're in the ring or the octagon or the cage or whichever you're doing a combat sport all the time. You're also out there amongst the rest of the humans and interacting. And
yeah, you know, you'll see these guys, you know, they're like, oh, yeah, I'm just going to do this and it's going to give me an edge. And it's like, well, no, you know, it actually sets you back pretty far there. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot more to life than just getting in there, you know?
There you go. That's very, very well put. You got to think beyond just your career years. You know, we see so many of these sad stories where you'll see, let's say like a guy like Earl Campbell, who was running back for the Oilers back in the day, who's now can hardly walk. He's just in his 50s or something like that.
Oh, yeah, no, it's a rough sport.
We're going to see, you know, we've seen with boxing too, the fighters from the days gone by who, as they've gotten older, you know, Muhammad Ali comes to mind, that have suffered. So I've always been of the opinion that there's probably less of an aspect with that with mixed martial arts as far as the concussions and head trauma, just because I don't get a big pillow to hit a guy's head with. Yeah,
definitely. There are a lot less head injuries in mixed martial arts. You'll have, you know, other body injuries because of submissions.
Joints.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So you're probably going to be a little more prone to some joint injuries than you will with boxing. But I mean, I've done boxing before. You know, I've done kickboxing. I've done mixed martial arts. The point of boxing is to knock your opponent out. You know, you can only hit the head and you can only hit the body, and no one really wants to go to the body that much. You know what I mean? So realistically, you're taking thousands of punches to the head, and you know, depending on the length of your career, you know, you could have 30, 40 fights where, you know, all you're doing is getting punched in the head. So, you know, that can't be good for your brain. With mixed martial arts, you have a lot more options. You know, you're not just getting punched in the head. You know, there's takedowns, there's submissions. You know, there's a lot more ways to win, which is, in my opinion, safer for the athlete.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
As far as I'm concerned, it's really transformed. I was always a kid. I grew up with my dad watching Sugar Ray Leonard and the twilight of Ali's career, and grew up watching boxing, and I found it kind of lost an appeal to me because I felt it became too centered around the rules and points and getting decisions and hugging and clinching and being defensive, and plus there's kind of this, I don't know, fixed aspect of it as far as the top competitors not fighting each other. With respect to mixed martial arts in that case, I feel it's just a truer reflection of the sport. I feel like these guys don't want to duck each other. They want to have fight. Like, if I'm the best fighter, man, I want to find the best guy out there and prove it.
It was like that. You're seeing a little bit of the boxing influence come in. Yeah, that was kind of the argument with Nick's last fight. You know, both guys said they came to fight. Nick really came to fight. His opponent came to win on points. You know, which is okay, but you know, that's not what the guys came to see, and that's definitely not what the guy was talking about before the fight. You know.
Do you think this has? I mean, now that we're starting to see mixed martial arts on Fox, on bigger outlets, the big money and the advertising starting to come in, is this just an inevitable influence of big money in the sport?
Yeah, I think unfortunately that happens with, any sport, but, with mixed martial art, it's a little bit more of a younger, purer sport, so I think it's going to be a little bit harder for that to happen. I'm sure it'll happen eventually, but, I think there'll be a little more resistance over here. We're fighters after all, so we don't just give in easy,
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. Well, again, we've got Caleb and Dan hanging out with us, and Dan, Caleb hanging loose. Did you want to talk to our audience? Or?
Yeah, man, get this guy on here. This guy is,
do we have any more slack here?
Bay Area legend here.
All right. So Caleb, tell us all about yourself. How did you get involved in the combat sports?
Well, I guess I was involved in combat sports since I was a little kid with my older brother beating me up. He was 4 years older,
It's a family tradition.
Yeah, I actually played baseball for 8 years, played football for 1 year in high school, but started jiu-jitsu when I was 15, sophomore in high school. And was into it, watched Gracie Jiu-Jitsu dominate the Ultimate Fighting Championships. And with that, I was like, wow, I might be able to beat up my older brother, if I start doing that. So
I remember seeing that first one, maybe 1, 2, 3, or 4. I don't remember which one. UFC with Hoist Gracie coming out in his gi. Against it, and that was back in the day when it was anything goes. There was guys out there with one boxing glove coming out. It was just all whack. It was just crazy. But and Hoist just totally shocked people by like how this little guy was crabbing up on you and doing all the submissions that like everybody was there for knockouts and not thinking about it being a broader sport than that. Was that an attraction for you, the wrestling aspects and more of it being?
Yeah,
which parts do you
absolutely.
Like, striking,
well. Striking was good, but I always tried to hit my older brother back, and he'd hit me twice as hard because he was twice as big as me, So with that disadvantage, I realized that I needed something like jiu-jitsu in order to beat him, So that definitely appealed to me very much, and I started doing that. Now I have a brown belt, So I've been doing it for 14 years. I've been training with Nick Diaz, Nate Diaz, Gilbert Melendez, Jake Shields, Dave Terrell, all sorts of Dan Black, John Santos, countless people that are just really good, dominant jiu-jitsu people and had great instructors, So that's definitely helped me. I do my kickboxing and boxing and even some sambo because we've been lucky and everyone wants to do jiu-jitsu. So people come in there that are black belts in something else, black belt in judo or black belt in sambo or black belt in this or that, and they teach us all their stuff too. So
I think that's one of the other things that I like so much about the sport. And you come in wearing a shirt from Sifu Bruce Lee there that just I was always attracted to that and his ideas of kind of metamorphosizing what'll work best for many different types of techniques and that you can learn something from everything. And was that also something that was attractive to you as far as the sport goes?
Absolutely. I watched a lot of movies, you know, as a kid growing up. I watched every movie I could possibly watch, when it came to martial arts and really loved the
What's your favorite
philosophy.
martial arts movie if you have to think of one?
Oh, man.
There's so many, I know. But.
I don't know. Maybe Bruce Lee Dragon or something like that. There's so many, though. Karate Kid.
Crane move.
Wax on, wax off.
The old school one, not the new Jaden Smith
no,
one.
No.
Ralph
old school,
Macchio
of course.
Right?
Come on.
By the way, since we're doing a marijuana thing here, there's a little clip you can catch. If you watch the very beginning of Karate Kid, there's a scene where they're running on the beach. One of his pals, and we're going to find out who this actor is and get him on the show, is wearing the old classic normal T-shirt with the little happy
killer.
face kind of thing. And it's like, there's the second time it's in the movie, because the first one, Cheech went in the Nice Dreams movie. So we're going to get that. That's my martial arts tie-in for marijuana.
Nice.
It's the best I could do. But, speaking of martial arts tie-ins for marijuana, you're here at this, High Times Cup. Is that something that is, a part of your life, something you try to espouse, that this needs to change, needs to be legal for medical use?
Yeah, definitely. I use all those external products. There's a spray that I use because I get sore all the time. My elbows will get sore, my hands, feet, shins, whatever, knees. And I use the creams. They have one that I use actually. They call it Fat Face, use it for boxing. I put it over my eyes because it's non-petroleum based, and I'm kind of a big
junk on the guy's
I'm
eyes.
a big health freak, you know, and I'm thinking petroleum based stuff on my eyes like probably isn't a good idea, you know.
Yeah,
so
all of that, yeah.
I'm really into the health products, you know, all natural, organic, you know, and so the external products and hemp, you know, I feel like researching it is really important, you know, if it could be completely open to research and fully utilize all the, you know, possible cancer cures all the cures that are just out there for us, and it's being restricted, you know, and all we have to do is research and know that it's there and know that it doesn't hurt us, you know, and prove it and give it to everybody, you know. Exactly. And that's just what has to happen, I think.
I totally agree with that. Did you come in? Or?
Oh, yeah, no, I was saying I think it's kind of funny that the U.S. government owns the patent for medicinal marijuana and then at the same time tells us there's no medicinal value. Well, which one is it, guys?
Yeah.
Right?
Patent number 6630507, cannabinoids as an antioxidant and anti-inflammatory.
Yeah.
It's the kind of stuff I have to memorize in this job. But you got that, then you got 4 people who still get medical marijuana from the federal government. I know 2 of them, Elvie Musica and Irv Rosenfeld. It's a program held over from the 70s. 4 people get medical marijuana grown on the federal government's medical marijuana farm, but then they want to tell 17 states that there's no medical use.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure you're familiar with Dr. Forget his name, Nagarkati's research from South Carolina, where he was able to completely cure cancer in test tubes using synthetic cannabis. And it's like, well, if they were able to do that with synthetics, and there's even this much of a possibility of a cure for cancer, I mean, come on, reschedule it. Put it on Schedule 2, let the researchers do their job and see if there's any actual value out there, which we all know there is, and let's keep fear, politics, and religion out of science.
Yeah, you think about that Schedule 2 thing, it's like for the people out there that are scared of weed, we would be legalizing weed. Check out, Schedule 2 is where cocaine is. Schedule 2 is where methamphetamine is. Now, these things, a doctor can get cocaine. A dentist can get cocaine, and they can study it, and they can do all sorts of stuff with it. But if you or I had cocaine on us, even dental cocaine, and we don't have a prescription, there could be some trouble. Yeah. So, you put marijuana at least where meth is. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, come on. You're telling me marijuana is more harmful than meth?
Did you see that with the drug czar? They had, or the DEA administrator, they had her in Congress, and 2 different congressmen, one from Tennessee and one from Colorado, Jared Polis, were asking her, so can you tell us that marijuana is as harmful? Do you really think marijuana is as harmful as heroin and meth? Do you think it's less harmful than heroin and meth? And she had to stick to the talking point. No, all drugs are bad. Okay, they're all bad. And it was just shameful how it's like. And they're saying you're the head of the Drug Enforcement Administration, and you can't tell us whether or not marijuana is as harmful as. Oh, and the great one was when he says, your number one problem is the abuse of prescription drugs and prescription painkillers. We have data from California and Colorado showing people that use medical cannabis use less prescription drugs. So would you investigate that as far as bringing down your number one goal, bring down prescription drug abuse?
Right.
Well, that's a Schedule 1 drug. Drugs are bad, okay?
Yeah.
And that's as far as it goes.
No, I mean, that's a shame that someone in that position of power is such a puppet, you know what I mean? You'd think that someone in that position should be someone that's open-minded, educated, and, really looking out for the best interest of the population of this country. You know what I mean? Not just the best interest of the pharmaceutical corporations.
Yeah, it's a shame. So, Caleb and Dan, you've been talking about these products that you use. Is there a website? Because I know people in the chat room are going on, where can I get this? What's this stuff?
You can check out External Rub at externalrub.com. That's external with an X. External.
So not EX.
No, not
X.
EX, just external. Yeah, External Rub.
You get an EX and you get a porn site.
Yeah, be careful of that. You don't want to get those viruses.
I don't know if you do or not.
And you can check out Caleb at calebscage.com. You can check out me at teamblack.tk.
Okay.
And
right
BayBrawlers.com. If you guys want to fight, hit us up.
There we go. We'll get. Hey, maybe one of these days we'll have exclusive coverage. The cannabis radio coverage.
Hey, let's do it, man. I'm having a show September 1st. I'd love to have you guys out there.
All right. Well, we'll check this out. Caleb and Dan, thanks so much for joining us here and giving us a look at what's going on with the sports side of this thing. I think that's kind of fascinating as far as where medicine meets the sports angle. Because I know I go off on this rant from time to time whenever it's a NFL guy getting busted from the Detroit Lions or one of these sports figures getting busted. I said, look, these guys are in the prime of their life. Their whole job and career revolves around being as healthy as they possibly can be, of being well-oiled, well-tuned machines. They're not going to screw that up over. That's why you don't hear a whole lot of, MMA guys get caught with meth or heroin or something like that. Because they're all about health. I know these guys, they're down to taking the skin off chicken and shit. They're not going to be doing anything.
It's funny. Actually, one of the most dangerous things for athletes in our sport, in my opinion, is the abuse of prescription painkillers. Because it is such a high injury, high risk sport. The chances are you are going to get hurt. You might need a surgery, and then you're going to need some painkillers, and that's what those doctors are pushing on you. Me, when I had my surgery, I didn't need painkillers. Let's just say that.
That's very nice.
Yeah.
You had something, Caleb?
Yeah, I was just going to say that medical cannabis definitely helps with the not having to kill your liver, destroy your liver.
Yeah, all pills are liver toxic.
Yeah, hepatotoxic. That's what we
hear
so much of.
I want to save my liver. I'm kind of like hippie conscious, you might say, completely health conscious. I grow my own kombucha mushroom,
wow.
So
all right.
It's like I'm completely into not hurting myself, so I'm into medical
plenty
cannabis.
Of other people trying to do that for you, right?
Yeah, I think it's natural, and I'm gonna maintain my health while still using medical cannabis where, I wouldn't consider it a drug. I consider it a medicine. All the other drugs, quote unquote drugs, all the other ones really are bad for you, and I don't think people should use them. I would definitely say no to drugs, and say yes to medical cannabis. Like Dan says, reschedule and let it live.
Let it live. That's words to live by. Thank you guys so much for stopping by and giving us this perspective. We love it. Teamblack.tk and external EXTERNAL rub.com and calebscage.com.
CALEBS cage.com.
Man, and after doing all those dabs, I can still pull that off. That's pretty amazing. Thanks, guys. Take it easy. All right, you're continuing coverage here of the High Times Medical Cannabis Cup 2012 in the Bay Area. We are right here on the Bay in Richmond, California. You can see San Francisco from behind us. I hope you're enjoying some of the scenes. We've got an interview coming up.
Where can I listen to that?
Let me get you the card here. Let me bring some music up for the audience, and let me finish this out. Hey, man, how you doing? Good to see you. All right, get this mixed up, see what we got, and we'll be right back.